Hello, my friends. It's Jen Pittabach with By the Shore Stamping, and today is the last Tuesday of the month, which means it is Virtual Card Class Day. And it's coming to you a little bit different because I am actually away at the moment, so I couldn't do the class for you live, but I wanted to still have a virtual card class for you this month. And if you're new here, the way this works is I'm going to do 3 cards for you right now, featuring the Circle Sayings stamp set. So these are our cards, and I'm going to make these for you. And then if you decide to order and use this month's host code here, you'll get these card kits for free. And if your order is over $50, you'll also get the embellishments I used, which I forgot to pull out, which are these, the iridescent pastel gems, I think they're called. So if your order is over 50, you'll get this as well. And don't forget, August is the last month, or the only month really, that you can redeem your bonus days coupon. So if you had any of those, make sure you use them on an order before the end of the month, and that way you'll be able to use that coupon and maybe even capitalize on the free kits as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go start with let's start with this one. It's kind of the simplest one, so we'll start with this one here. I'm starting with a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of Petal Pink cardstock, and I'm just going to fold that in half. I scored it at 4 1/4. I'm using my bone folder here to just get a nice, good, crisp crease on that. And then I'm going to take my Petal Pink, nope, that's the wrong one, Petal Pink ink, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment, Happy Birthday, from the stamp set repeatedly on the card front panel. So I actually did a separate panel for this. I just prefer to do it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and just stamp this repeatedly here, kind of altering where it lands so it looks a little bit like paper. And there, okay, so that's that. And then I'm going to take a piece of the Wild Wheat Designer Series paper, and I'm going to attach that to this panel as well. So I'm going to just stick that down like so. Okay, and then I have a piece of basic white cardstock punched with the 2 3/8 circle punch, and I'm going to grab the Berry Burst. Is that what I used? No, Moody Mauve, sorry. I'm looking at it going, that doesn't look right, but I couldn't figure it out. It's Moody Mauve, actually. And I'm going to grab the cupcake image from that Circle Saying stamp set. This is actually available as a bundle, so you can get the Circle Saying stamp set and the coordinating 2 3/8 inch circle punch at a savings of 10%. So I'm going to stamp this right in the middle, okay, and then we'll clean this off and switch this over to the Celebrate image, and I'm going to use Lost Lagoon. So the colors I'm using on these cards are Lost Lagoon, Wild Wheat, Petal Pink, and Moody Mauve. So very here, I'll pull them out for you. I'll put this one away so I don't have any mistakes. So we've got Lost Lagoon, Moody Mauve, Petal Pink, which is here, and what was the other one? Wild Wheat is this one. I really only use the Wild Wheat as kind of like an accent color, so we don't really see too much of that except for a little bit on this card and a little bit on the Lost Lagoon card, which happens to be my favorite. So then I'm going to stamp this around the cupcake. Typically I would normally stamp these things first and then punch it out. It just makes it a little bit easier to get it centered, but I was able to do that fairly easily. So let's grab some dimensionals. I'm going to pop this up on that panel Do you guys have dog fur on everything? Dog and cat fur? Oh, wait, I don't know how it gets here. Although Shelby Shelbs has been coming to visit me a little bit. All right, and of course it always hitches a ride on your clothes, right? I'm just gonna put this onto the card base flat. So you'll have this. And I kind of didn't follow a lot of my own rules with this design of projects this month. I really liked how they came out though, but there's a lot of die cutting and punching and embossing. So when I do these card kits, it's gonna take a little bit of effort. So, but it's okay. I love you all that much, so I'm willing to do that work for you guys. So if you haven't done my virtual card class kits, you get all the supplies, like the cardstock and pre-cut papers, the thread, etc. to make the cards. The only thing that's not included is the gems, unless your order is over 50, then that would be included too. And then of course, you know, your adhesives and stuff, that you'll have to provide yourself. So I'm going to use a glue dot for this, and I'm going to add this to the card. Whoops. Right about here. Okay. And then we're going to grab our iridescent gems, and I'm just going to add these onto the card like so. And one more. Okay, maybe it's easier just pick it up with my fingers. And there you go. You could add a little bit of Wink of Stella to the cupcake if you wanted to, but I'm going to just leave mine plain, and we'll move on to the next one. So next up we have this one, which is using one of the new in colors. Oops, I didn't score this one. This is one of the brand new 2023 to 2025 in colors. I'm just going to score this at 4 1/4. And then I'll use my bone folder to get a nice crease on that. Okay. And then I already embossed this with one of the basics embossing folders. There's 3 embossing folders in that package. They are 3 of my very favorite. We have this one, which to me looks like little starfish. And then there's a crosshatch one and a polka dot one, which we all know I love polka dots. So I'm going to just attach that down like so. And then I already die cut one of the petal pink pieces of cardstock with the Countryside Corners dies. And then I'm going to just go ahead and wrap this around the die a couple times and tie that in a bow. Or you could do a knot if you wanted to. I'm actually probably just going to do a knot first until I get it attached to the card, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to tie a bow on this little piece. So I want to keep the bow kind of off to the right here like it is on the sample, so that we have place for the circle to go over the top. I'm going to actually slide it a little further over. There we go. And then I'm going to just use regular adhesive. I'm going to use actually my Stampin' Seal, which is a little, Seal Plus actually, which is a little bit stronger. And I am going to add quite a bit more adhesive than I normally would, just because it's got that twine on it. So it's going to want, and it's embossed, it's an embossed panel. So you want to make sure you are making sure you get really good adhesion there. All right, and now that it's attached, it should be a lot easier for me to tie this bow, like so. All right, and then we'll just cut those off. And next up, I have another white circle. This one I believe is what is this one? Is it 2 inches? I think it's 2 inches. And I'm going to take the petal pink, and this time we're gonna do the little flower image. This one's a little bit easier to do after it's already punched, just because of the shape of this one and because it's photopolymer. So I'm just going to ink that up in the petal pink, and you'll stamp that there. And then just flip it over and it lines up beautifully. So you just stamp that again. Look how easy that was. And then we just want a sentiment in the middle. So I'm going to grab the Moody Mauve and we'll use the Smile. Whoops, sentiment. And I'm going to stamp that in the middle here. Like that. All right, and then this is just going to get taped to this Stylish Shapes die. I use those dies to cut it out from Moody Mauve cardstock, and I really don't know why I put that much adhesive on here. I really don't need to. I was talking at the same time, so I get distracted. All right, I'm going to go ahead and attach this. Oh, actually, I'm not going to do that yet. So I added some greenery. I love doing greenery. Sometimes it can be really time consuming though if you do a bunch of dies. I mean, there's some amazing greenery in the dies for many of our stamp sets and dies, but this punch, the bow punch, is a really great way to get some greenery quickly, and it looks just as lovely. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of in this corner here, I'm going to just put a little bit of adhesive so that I can build up my little cluster. So I like to build it the way I want it to look, and then kind of position it where I want it, and then I just stick it into that adhesive. That's my kind of easy way to do it. And then I'll do the same thing down here, and then we'll build it up again. So I'm going to use this one and this one, and we'll put the vellum on top this time. I pre-punched those just to save a little bit of time. There we go. Whoops. And we'll do that. Okay, and now we'll add the dimensionals to this one. And I always like to add a dimensional right to that little cluster to keep it in place. And we'll add that to the card front as well. So, whoops, sorry, I just bumped the camera with my head. So that goes like that. And then the last part of this is just gonna be to add some of the bling. So we'll put that here. Smaller one maybe here, and a smaller one up there. And there you have that. Super cute, really fun. 2 down. Which one's your favorite so far? Well, we'll wait, because this one is my favorite, but we'll see which one's your favorite at the end. I'll pull them all back in. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to start with the Lost Lagoon piece of cardstock, 5.5 by 8.5. And then oh, you know what I forgot to cut was the paper. I'm using just a tiny piece of paper from the Inked Botanicals, if I can find it. Here we go. It's just a small, I think it's 2 by 5.25. It's tone on tone, which y'all know I love. Let me just make sure it's 2 inches. I think it is. Yeah, it's a good number to use because it keeps everything, like your cardstock, if you do in 2s, then you can get even numbers, right? Because it's 6 across, so therefore 2, 4, 6, you can get 3 pieces, so that makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this little panel here, and I'm going to attach it to the front of the card. And then I have the embossed panel, again with that same starfish kind of vibe. I already embossed the Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to go ahead and tie some twine around that. I'm just using the linen thread. It's a must-have if you ask me. So I'm going to just do that. And tie it on the side here, and I'll probably do the same thing where I'm just going to tie a knot first, and then we'll attach it to the card using some dimensionals. And I usually, again, use a little bit extra just because it's an embossed piece, and sometimes, although Stampin' Dimensionals are really good usually, but I just like to make sure it's good and adhered because the texture can make the adhesive a little less sticky in some cases. All right, so let's go ahead and tie this bow off to the side here, like that. And then we'll trim that down. Trim this one a little bit. All right, there's that. Now, I already die cut a basic white stitched circle from the Stylish Shapes. Again, because it's going on to texture, I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm just going to stick that underneath the ribbon flat. All right, so now we need to stamp our image, which this is my favorite image in the set, and this is definitely my favorite card of the set. I think this is kind of like a sleeper stamp set. I think it's really good for scrapbooking, it's really good for card making, but it really doesn't look like a whole lot when you see it in the catalog. But some really fun things you can do with this set. All right, so I'm going to ink it up with Memento Black ink because I'm going to use my alcohol markers, the Stampin' Blends. So I want to make sure the color won't bleed. And I also want to give enough space around this so that I can punch that out. That did not come out the greatest, so I'm going to stamp it again on the back side. Let's see, and sometimes it's easier to kind of do it this way. I don't know if my black ink is getting a little bit low maybe. Then we're just going to go ahead and stamp that. Make sure we get some good, that's better. All right, so now I used my Wild Wheat Stampin' Blends and my Lost Lagoon and then some Wink of Stella. So I'm going to use the light. I love this because we've got two different shades, so I can get two different like colorings vibes here by just using the two different colors. So I don't even have to like do a lot of shading or anything. I can let the markers do that work. So I'm going to just kind of color a bunch of it in this light color. Okay. Oh, the top part too. And I'm not doing my best coloring job. I hope you'll all forgive me. I feel it like it's a lot of pressure to color while people are watching. So then I'm going to take the dark and I'm just going to fill in the other ones with the dark. Okay. Like so. All right. Whoops. My hand kind of went a little astray there. Did you see that? Alright, and then I'll just do this. And you do want to kind of bring the color a little bit low. I'm actually going to go up over here, dark, because then it will match. Like that. And I'm going to fill in that because we want to make sure that when we punch it out, that's nice and colored in. I can always fix it after I punch too. Alright, so then this, I'm just going to color the sun with my light Wild Wheat. I'm going to go carefully around this cloud. Here we go. And I'm coloring super fast, so I'm not making this very well done. But again, nobody is going to be looking at our creations as closely and with such a keen eye as we do, right? We always are the worst critics on ourselves. All right, so there's that. And then I'm gonna grab my Wink of Stella and I'm just gonna add some Wink to this. And then I'm also gonna add a little to some of those little bits of color, and I'm also gonna do some of the rays too. There we go. All right, and then we're gonna take our 2-inch circle punch. I believe this is the one I need. Yep, and we're gonna punch that out. Now you can see how the bottom isn't completely colored, so we'll fix that. So now there's that. Now I'll just take my blends here, kind of color that in so it's all colored. There we go. All right, and then this I'm gonna go ahead and layer onto, see, another stitched item. See, I did a lot of die cutting. I'm gonna hate that when I'm prepping these kits, but I just couldn't help myself. It just looked so cool. All right, so then that's gonna go on there, and we're gonna add some dimensionals to this. And we'll attach that to the card. All right. Like so. And then last but not least, we're going to take this and the warm hello sentiment. I'm just going to put it on the other side of this for right now. Because I'm going to fussy cut it, so I don't really care where it is. I'm just stamping that on the scrap paper. And we'll cut this out. And again, you don't have to be super meticulous about it. I just want to kind of leave a little bit of a border, and it's usually easier if you make the paper a little bit smaller. So I'm going to cut that part off. Just makes it easier to kind of move the paper instead of your scissors, which is key when you're fussy cutting. Again, not being super meticulous about this, but you'll see when we're all done that you won't even notice. All right, and then I'm just gonna round that off there. Okay, and then this I'm gonna put on with a little bit of the regular adhesive here in the corner where it overlaps. And then I might use my minis. This is when the mini ones come in handy, because I can put one there and then I'll put one there, and that just kind of balances it out. And we add this, whoops, sentiment right about there. Looks good. I'm gonna just pull that out. And then we'll just need to add some bling, of course. So I'm gonna add some of these little blue ones. And we have the finished card. What do you think, my friends? So let's take a vote. Ready? Do we like A, which by the way, this was a copy right out of the catalog, B, or C? Y'all know my favorite is this one, but that's because I love the beach. I love the blue. So it's a win-win for me. All right. And then again, just as a reminder, if you want to grab any last minute things, especially if you have any of those bonus day coupons, go ahead and place your order at this spot using this host code, and you'll automatically get entered to win the, or not win, to earn the kits. You'll get the kits no matter what. If your order is over over $50, you'll get the embellishments I used as well, and everything else will be included in terms of the twine, and the cardstock will all be cut and embossed for you. So it's a great way to just kind of sit down and do some quick creating. Of course, you'll have a written tutorial, and I will send you the replay of this video when I send out the kits, so you'll have everything handy when you're ready to stamp. So again, this stamp set is called Circle Sayings, and it's coordinating with the 2 3/8 inch circle punch, so that would be a great thing to get if you wanted to take advantage of the card kits. kits for this month. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. This is only a limited time offer though, so make sure you do this before Friday, the end of the day Friday, and I will get these out to you in a couple of weeks once I get the product in. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And if this is your first video with me, please go ahead and click the like button. And if you really want to make my day, go ahead and subscribe. And until next time, my friends, keep stamping. Have a great week. Bye.